Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV. It's time for the midpoint in the Südspeed Sportscar Series season. The 5th round here from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Of course, it's always going to be Mosport in our hearts. Virtual Bowmanville in Ontario, Canada is going to play host to some fantastic racing in the Dallara P217 LMP2 cars. What a season this has been so far, and we come to one of Canada's best tracks for this next installment of a great season. I'm Reese Gardner, bringing it to you live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. Brady Baldwin alongside me in the comms box. Jay Kennedy is the one doing all the hard work behind the scenes, bringing you these live pictures. Well, Brady, Mosport, it's a track that we all love. I haven't spoken to a single person who doesn't like this venue. It's kept the same layout since it opened, and despite being widened over the years, it still has that fantastic high-speed character.
Well, lucky for you, Reece, I do like this track also, and one of my personal favourites as well. Unfortunately, I don't get to race here too often in the cars I usually race in the V8s and stuff, so very underrated track in my opinion. Very technical as well, a bit of undulation as well, very short, just under 4 kilometres in length, 10 corners. Obviously, the run to turn 1 very fast in these LMP2 cars here tonight, and obviously the Moss corner as well, 5A and 5B, very, very difficult to get pulled up, and then a good slipstreaming opportunity down Murray Andrade straight away, and then through the S's to finish off. It's one of the best tracks, I think, on the service race.
Yeah, me too. Certainly suits these high downforce prototypes beautifully. So many high-speed corners around this place. So much load going through the tires, through these corners, and a little bit of challenge down at turn 5 at Moss. Incidentally, named for Sterling Moss because he suggested the final design of the corner. He tested it out, I think, or had a look at the at a diorama of the circuit as it was being built. It used to be just a straight up normal hairpin, but then Sterling Moss went, hey, how about we make that second part a little bit tighter? And that is why the corner's named after him. A lot of history to this place and more to be made here tonight as we go into our 2 races here. Drivers are in the middle of qualifying as always. They get 15 minutes and 14 laps total to set their times for the grid for race 1, which will go for 15 minutes, straight up sprint there. And then we jump into race 2, reverse top 10 and a compulsory pit stop for 2 tires after the 3rd lap, and we'll be going for 30 minutes in that second race. Same format we've used all season, Brady, and we haven't seen any signs that it needs to be changed. This has produced some fantastic action.
Yeah, it certainly has, especially with that sprint race to start off the night. Certainly makes it pretty hectic, and then obviously the 2 tyre pit stop in the second race produced a little bit of strategy as well, and we've had a bit of weather along the series as well. It doesn't look like we'll have any rain today, but going to the championship points, Drop Bear Motorsport 1, 2, and 3. Daniel Benefield leading the way by just 14 points over his teammate Daniel Yeaman, who won the second race last round at Belle Isle, and Lockhart Branley, who won the first race at Belle Isle. So they're the top 3. Matty Keane and Dylan Walker ran out the top 5. Seb Vundell, a new recruit to Vermilion Motorsports, the reigning champion, has struggled a little bit and had a bit of bad luck throughout this season, and even a tie for 10th between Groach and Ridley. So a lot to play out between I suggest the top two, Benefield and Yeaman, really fighting it out, but still a lot to play out for those minor positions, Reese.
Yeah, indeed it is. Seb Vandel, as you mentioned, having a very difficult season, though he did get onto the podium twice at Belle Isle last round after starting race 1 from the back of the grid. So he's certainly still got plenty of pace in himself. The AM class, meanwhile, a little bit more spaced out than the pro standings. Daniel Finney has been far and away the most successful AM driver this season. Seems like he's head and shoulders above the rest of them on terms of pace, but still could have Jackson Dial breathing down his neck in the dying rounds of the season. Aside from that, Dean Hunt with a massive gap for third over James Solani. As you get back down to the minor positions, though, once again, Brady, the gaps close up. Only 2 points separating 5th, 6th, and 7th each. And then only 1 point separating 7th from 8th and 8th from 9th. There's going to be a lot of changes, I think, coming there in the last few rounds.
Yeah, 100%. It's not much separating those guys in the M-Class Championship, so still a lot to play out there. Daniel Finney has been very solid all season long, even mixing it up with the pro guys throughout the season, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes once again tonight. But very different circuit that these drivers will be at compared to 2 weeks ago in Belle Isle. And remember, the round winners in this series from AM and Pro class will receive a Südspeed voucher worth $50, which is pretty cool, Reese. And obviously, after the race, we will vote for the driver of the day, and they will receive a $30 voucher as well. And championship winners will get trophies as well, and some prize money down the top 3, which is really cool to see in this series.
Absolutely, it is. Really appreciate Südspeed. They've become fast friends with us here at SimSpeed TV, setting up this series and providing a fantastic product to the Australia, New Zealand sim racing community. Of course, if you'd like a pair of Südspeed gloves yourself, you can check one out on Südspeed.com. Got some interesting developments coming up on Südspeed. Stay tuned for news in the coming days/weeks. If you want a pair of gloves, use the code SPECTATOR at checkout. You'll get 10% off your order, including free shipping if you're in Australia and New Zealand. Südspeed does ship internationally with competitive rates, but if you're fortunate enough to live in the Oceania region, you will not have to pay for shipping at all. Let's go into qualifying then. We've only got 3 minutes remaining. Currently, Dylan Walker on pole position. Himself and Dan Yeaman over at Drop Bear Motorsport have been running race fuel in the practice session. The practice times were a bit skewed. David Turnbull in car 702 is looking very quick this round. Third in qualifying at the moment and only 600ths off provisional pole. Let's see if Dylan Walker can increase that gap here at the front of the field as he comes around to start another lap. Only a couple of hundredths off his fastest. Daniel Benefield, meanwhile, championship leader, only 100th of a second in it if he wants pole position.
The top 4 times only separated by 800ths of a second. Race is absolutely remarkable. It reminds me of a Thursday night in sprint cars. The times are that close between Walker, Benefield, Turnbull, and Brownlee. I remember having some fantastic battles in the last season of Südspeed with David Turnbull in the LMP3 cars. So fantastic to see him back up towards the pointy end, on board with Brandon Groge at the moment. He was one of the fast guys last season. He's had his up and down this season, certainly showing a lot of pace in this season. He's going to come across the line. Will he improve a 106.3? He does. Will go position number 5 on a 106.1, so less than a 10th separating the top 5 race.
Yeah, this is fantastic stuff in this qualifying session. Yeah, reigning champion, as we were talking about, Seb Vandel, recently joining Vermilion Motorsports from Altus, Australia. Big team shift there for many drivers in the AusNZ community. It'll be interesting to see what Vermilion Motorsports can do from this point on, as has been talked about quite a bit in the last few weeks. Vandel coming up to the end of the lap here at the moment. He's down in 7th at the moment. He needs a 10th of a second to move himself up the field, Annie, and it's going to be a 106.018. That is pole position for the number 1. I think that's Seb's first fastest qualifying time of the season. If he can hold on to that in the final minute, I think that's going to be his first pole since taking the championship last season.
That's a mega lap there from Seb Vandel to get it. late in the piece as well, with only a minute remaining. But here comes Dylan Walker on another lap. He's in behind Nathaniel Coben. Apologies at the moment. He might get a little bit held up in the last two corners. He would have had a good slipstream, but he's going into the lane, so he's not going to improve. Daniel Benefield is already in the pit lane. David Turnbull checking on him. He's not out on track. Lockhart Branley potentially on another lap. He's currently position number 5, and we do have a rear of grid start for car 7, Aiden Luthwaite, for impeding car 53 in qualifying. That's Dylan Walker. Can Lockhart Branley potentially improve on that 106.16? Oh, big slide. He's not going to improve either. I don't really see anyone else, potentially Cole Ridley, but the session is going to end right there, and Seb Vandel will nail pole position, but not by much, Reese.
Wow, what a fantastic qualifying performance from our reigning champion. He will start on pole position for the first race, and he's very happy with his performance there, but the pressure is on now. He'll have to hold on for a good result here in the first race of the night. Let's go through the grid. Vandel and Walker are your front row, only separated by 0.06 of a second. Behind them, Daniel Benefield, leader of the championship right now, but not by much after a poor round at Belle Isle. He'll start alongside David Turnbull for Frog Leap Racing, who has actually gone very well here at Mosport. Lockhart Brownlee, winner at Belle Isle last time out, will start alongside Brandon Groach, who challenged Vandel for the championship last season. Dan Yeaman will start in 7th spot, second in the championship, alongside Matt Keane, who was our driver of the day, first round of this season at Sebring. And then, unfortunately, Aiden Luthwaite won't take the 9th spot on the grid alongside Carl Ridley, who rounds out the top 10.
Henry Fenson and Dylan Gray will share that 6th row on the grid. Jackson Dole and Vinny Nugent will start 13th and 14th. Remember, like Reese said, everyone will effectively move up one spot due to Luthwaite starting in the pits. Daniel Finney and Samuel Lambert will start 15th and 16th. Eric Fenson, probably a little bit of a struggle in qualifying for him tonight. He'll start 17th alongside James Solani in 18th. Andrew Proctor and Sean Benici will start 19th and 20th. And the last two cars to grid will be Nathaniel Coburn and Mark Hallowell, who unfortunately did not get a lap in qualifying. So 22 cars on the grid here. 21 will take to the grid with Luthwaite starting from the pits, as we had got a few guys on Zoom. Once again, Reese, Daniel Yeaman, bottom left. Lockhart Branley, the two Drop Bear teammates on the bottom row. Vinny Nugent, top right. Sam Lambert, who we've talked to previously, top middle. And our pole sitter, Seb Vandel, top left. So pretty cool to see a few drivers there on Zoom here tonight.
Yeah, we'll be checking in with them over the course of the racing action. Just 45 seconds remaining on the grid time. It looks like almost everyone has jumped onto the grid except for David Turnbull. Of course, there will be that spot left in 9th spot for Aiden Luthwaite. He's not going to take to the grid just yet. There is David Turnbull now on the dummy grid coming up to the last couple of corners here. Short formation laps, of course, in this series, just to save a bit of time. This is a pretty short lap at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but still don't need the tedium of a full formation lap. Let's get to racing action. Just a few seconds remaining, and the pace car will pull away, and we will have ourselves a start here. Very short run into turn 1, Brady, so the drivers will have to start making their moves pretty quickly, but it is difficult to pass, just because the turns at this place are so fast.
Yeah, it's going to be a very fast approach into turn 1 as well, and carry a lot of speed into that corner. We potentially might see a move first off at turn 3 at Quebec corner, and obviously into that Moss corner, very good overtaking opportunity. Then if you get a good enough run, if you're bold enough, at the end of the Mario Andretti straightaway into the S's, potentially another passing spot, but generally a bit more of a tougher track to pass here at Mosport. So the drivers will be in for a pretty tough night, but Seb Vandel and Daniel Benefield, they have the best starting spot on the grid, on the front row, waiting for Seb Vandel to go green, and he takes off now. We are green flag racing here at Mosport.
Tip it into turn one, very fast, 220 k's an hour at the apex, accelerate out across the top of the hill and dive down into turn two, immediately falling single file. There's a bit of side-by-side dicing in the midfield, but other than that, everyone's gotten off to a clean start. Luthwaite has just emerged from the pits. He's got a lot of time left to make up. He'll be hoping for a safety car to stake his claim for a spot further up the grid now. Already coming into Moss Corner on the first lap here, a bit wide for Seb Vandel, but he'll get that done nicely as off the circuit goes David Turnbull. Started fourth. That is a disastrous run through the hairpin on the first lap.
There was contact there between him and Daniel Yeaman into the first right-hander of the Moss Corner, so they'll be looked at by race control. Looked like Yeaman was trying to potentially readdress, but had to get going, otherwise he's going to check up the rest of the field. So I think Yeaman might be in a little bit of trouble for that contact there with David Turnbull. Very unlucky for both of them running inside the top five to start off, but we're already one lap into this race. We're 15-minute time limit, but 14 lap limit for this race, so it's going to go by very, very quickly, and Vandel already out to a half-second lead.
Yep, the top four have broken away from the rest of the field. Replay down the bottom of Yeaman's contact with Turnbull. Just tried up the inside into Moss, but Turnbull was covering it, and Yeaman just didn't have enough overlap, spun him around. I think that's going to be an open shut case for the stewards there, as there's racing going on here further back. Brandon Groach trying to make his way past Daniel Finney, who's had a really good start at the moment, still running second in AM behind Jackson Dial, but could make up that time very shortly if Dial gets passed by Kyle Ridley. Seems like Dial's already lost a position on that lap, unless my timing is screwing with me, which it usually does. In any case, down the Mario Andretti straight away we go for another rapid round around this Canadian Tire Motorsport Park circuit.
It was a big moment the last lap as well. This is Dylan Gray in the 52 machine trying to go down the inside of Jackson Dial. Looks like just didn't get far enough up the inside. Unfortunately, has a spin. Good save, though, for the 52 of Dylan Gray, and he'll continue on. Unfortunately, down in P19 as Dylan Walker sets the fastest lap of a race, the 106.758. Be getting a bit of assistance from that draft down the back straight in behind Seb Vandel. Only 7/10 separate the top three in this race at the moment, and some hectic fighting midfield race. I'm watching currently Daniel Yeaman, Matt Keane, Henry Fenson, and even Jackson Dial. There's a big train forming in behind Matthew Keane at the moment.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of damage to his front end, which will be affecting his aero performance. That's probably why the train's been backed up so much. Very long gap ahead to the top four. It's just a case of who can find their way past Keane and try to move their way forward. It's a very short race around a short and fast track. You've got to be on your absolute A game the whole way around. And they're catching up. Here comes Yeaman. Oh dear, wasn't able to get it done, but Fenson behind. Henry Fenson losing 3-4 positions due to running wide through the final corner. Yeaman absolutely on it here, as it looks like he's finally made up the position there. No, he was just trying to defend from Jackson Dial, but now look at him. Lots of aero performance through turn two, but he just can't find his way past Matt Keane. Little bit of contact there. Keane understeering into Yeaman, and round the outside of turn three they go. Yeaman will try and keep the inside here across the top of the hill, just threading the needle, but he has to fall in behind. Here comes Dial to try and make a three wide, gets into the back of Matt Keane, sent wide. Kyle Ridley is there to take the spoils. Yeaman with a better exit coming out of Moss, but he can't get the draft down the Mario Andretti straightaway.
What fantastic racing this is in the mid part of the top 10. Jackson Dial, big send down the inside at the Moss corner. Couldn't get it pulled up. Can Yeaman finally get the move done around the outside through the S's on Matt Keane? He'll have the inside run. The left hand, a little bit of contact. And
oh no!
Keane goes wide. Unfortunately, he's going to lose about 5 or 6 spots. I don't know if there was much in that. Yeaman will get the spot, but Matthew Keane is not too happy about that one. As Lockout Brantley sets the fast lap of the race.
Wow, yeah, Matt Keane got absolutely muscled there, and it looks like it's going to continue. They've just been making small contact with him, and I think he's going to be very unhappy with how he's been raced here, but it's great action for us spectators and commentators. Regardless, Looks like things have settled down a little bit. Nope, Daniel Finney, bit slow on the exit of turn 3. He's had to let Henry Fenson go there. So Finney still trying to keep what is now the AM class lead. Dial having, oh dear, there's more trouble behind at Moss. Looks like Matt Keane going narrow, and Dial himself now picking up some damage. He went very wide in the hairpin, so that's just given a big advantage to Daniel Finney in the AM class race.
Yeah, big off for Jackson Doll on the exit there, and Solani, Keane, Groge all involved as well. This is absolutely hectic racing. No further action on lap 1 between the 702 and the 85. So that was with Yeaman and Turnbull, no further action. So we didn't get too many angles of it, but Race Control have had a good look at it. And Dylan Walker, no?
Yeah,
Benefield in second. So Benefield.
Yeah, making his way through there on the replay, coming into the third last corner here. And Benefield is the fastest driver at Drop Bear, at least at a regular round. So probably a bit of a tactical let through there. Benefield was obviously faster than Walker, but Benefield might have a run here at Vandel. As on the replay, this is further troubles for Matthew Keane. Tried to make it 3 wide coming into the third last corner there, but was sent off into the weeds. It's been a disastrous race for Matt Keane, who started in the top 10. Such a shame for him. Regardless, now we shift our attention back to the front 4. Seb Vandel has got Daniel Benefield right on the back of him, and Benefield is looking aggressive. He's gotten his tyres warmed up nicely, and he's carrying so much speed through the corners here. I think Vandel's going to have to look out.
Yeah, with all the battling in the mid part of the top 10, the top 4 now separated by less than 1 second, which is absolutely remarkable. We've seen some fantastic battling in the midfield, and now we're going to see a fantastic fight now for the race lead. Benefield now side by side through turn number 4. He's going to be on the outside, then he'll have the inside for Moss Corner. Can he get the move done? But no, Vandel, big slide for Vandel on the entry of the corner. Will hang on to it, but he's going to have a compromised exit, and Benefield's going to have a really nice run here down the back straight, Reese.
Vandel would have burnt up the tyres as well. There isn't going to be much traction in that number 1. Vandel's going to defend coming into the first of our final complex here. It's so interesting, this sequence of corners. You can go side by side if you wish, but you've got to make sure that you're fully alongside before you go for a move. And Vandel's going to defend for one more lap here, as we've already reached the halfway point of the race. Still defensive. Vandel is in fight back mode now, as Benefield is all over the back of him.
Yeah, Vandel's looking to make a statement. He's had a up and down season as the reigning champion. He wants to try and get that win over Benefield, who's been the best driver in this series so far. He's leading the championship, and Vandel is driving the absolute wheels of this number 1 machine, trying to hold off Benefield. Benefield's going to poke the nose down the inside of this corner. Nearly contact with Seb Vandel. Very, very close. Benefield's called it in potentially for squeezing down the inside. I don't think there was much in that, just hard racing. That might compromise his run now to his teammate Dylan Walker on the back straight.
Well, Benefield still has the benefit of slipstream here versus Seb Vandel. Race Control continuing to make no further action decisions on a lot of those incidents that we've had here at the moment. So seems like they're just allowing them to race wheel to wheel here. As further back, oh, that's some drama. Looks like David Turnbull and Sam Lambert in the number 8 have both had problems through Moss Corner. This whole battle has been going on in the mid to rear pack. The whole time we've been focusing on that lead battle. Lambert, though, recovering, getting back up to speed. He'll have to try and fight his way a bit further forward from there.
Yeah, Lambert up a few positions before that. Unfortunately, he's dropped down just a little bit. And David Turnbull, he is on the move as well. From that early contact that we've seen with him in Yeaman, he's back up to 17th, and he was down in about 21st. So on the recovery drive for David Turnbull, as there's just so much battling in this field. This is Vinny Nugent and Daniel Finney battling for 9th and 10th on the road. Both the AM class, Daniel Finney, second in class for AM, Vinny Nugent, a pro-class driver. So Daniel Finney trying to catch Solani just in front of him for the AM class win here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Finney was leading the AM class last time we looked at him. It looks like Solani has somehow found his way through. Not sure what's gone on there. Problem for Dylan Gray, it looks like at Moss. He just lost 3 positions there to Fenson, Dial and Luthwaite. And Sean Benici and David Turnbull are at a standstill on the side of the circuit. Are we going to get a late safety car in this race?
I think we might, because David Turnbull looks like the front end of that 702 machine very badly damaged on that car. I think we might have a safety car here, Reese.
Now we'll have to wait and see what race control's decision is, because it's going to be very late in the race and we don't want to see races finish under safety car. Let's see what we can do, as it looks like at the very least they've managed to clear the incident. So it looks like they've allowed them to tow back to the pits without bringing out the safety car. So here's how it happened. David Turnbull up the inside there, catches the curb, sends the other car wide, and oh dear, that's a very big trip across the barriers, and oh man, Sam Lambert could do nothing to avoid that, and it looks like Sean Benici was caught up in that as well. At least Benici's managed to get back up to speed. He's gone into the pits, and Turnbull and Lambert already retiring from the race. Meanwhile, move for the lead into turn 1. Is this going to work out for Daniel Benefield? No, it's not. More speed around the outside for Seb Vandel. He's going to keep it into turn 2.
If Vandel just hangs on to lead, as we have Dylan Gray parked up on the entry of Moss as well, so we've got another stricken car. I assume he'll be cleared to tow to continue this race. With only a few minutes left remaining. Oh. What a fantastic battle, and that was the contact with Dylan Gray. Massive contact. We've had a few retirements late in the piece, but Seb Vandel just hanging on to this race lead. Still a 4-way battle for the lead. It looks like Brantley's even closer than what he was before. One little slip up from either of these drivers will spell disaster for the race 1 result.
Yeah, and keep an eye out for Dan Yeaman as well, since he managed to get free of the train for 5th on back. He has absolutely been storming around this circuit. He set times about half a second faster than the top 4, who have been busy battling with each other and trying to stay in line around these very quick corners here. The car that Gray made contact with was the 22 of Brandon Groach, unfortunately, so Groach will have to write this result off. Benefield, meanwhile, having a bit of an issue trying to keep up with Seb Vandel in the last couple of corners, starting to face off against his teammates. There goes Turnbull back out of the pits just in time for the top 4 to put him a lap down.
Yeah, Dylan Walker looks like he closed up just a little bit on Benefield, or Benefield just dropped off a little bit on Seb Vandel that last time by, and looks like in just the first half of this lap, Benefield has closed back in to the back of Seb Vandel. They might encounter Sam Lambert in lap traffic towards the end of this race. We'll have 2 laps to go, I assume, this time by for these drivers. And still the top 4 battle. Looks like Walker's just dropped off just a little bit away from Daniel Benefield. So at the moment, it's a 2-horse race, but anything can happen. There's been some wild racing so far. It's like you touched on, Yeaman is really in the top 4, and more importantly, James Solani is currently position number 10. That will be pole for the race number 2 30-minute race later on.
Certainly will. Let's see if Vinnie Nguyen and Daniel Finney can break away from him, or if Aiden Luthwaite, Eric Fenson and Jackson Dial will be able to catch up to them. There's a position change between Dial and Fenson further down, but we'll keep our eyes here on Daniel Benefield chasing down Seb Vandel. Sam Lambert is the lapped car ahead of them there. Let's see if this results in any drama for our top 4. Lambert trying desperately to get back up to speed. He would have taken a fast repair and the tyres will probably be cold. We'll have to wait and see if they clear him by the time they get to the last couple corners. I thought he might be a spanner in the works down here at Moss, but it doesn't look like it. He's going to wait until the straight and let them all go.
Yeah, I think smart move there for Lima. Wait till you get onto the straightaway. He'll probably pull over at the last minute to let these guys by, and looks like he's staying to the left-hand side of the road, so the leaders will fly on by. Benefield still right on the rear bumper. We're on the gearbox of Seb Vandel. He's going to try around the outside once again, but he might have the inside here. They're going to be side by side. He's at the rear corner, but he's not quite close enough. And unfortunately, you're going to be on the outside for the last corner. White flag this time by. It's still a 4-way fight for the race lead here. Race 1 lap to go.
All right, one more run around Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 3.96 Ks to go. who's going to get it at the end. Vandel has had a lot of practice defending from Benefield so far, so Daniel, I think, is going to have to try something different coming into the last couple of corners on this lap. Vandel has nailed his exit from turn 3. That's where Benefield has been getting him a lot of the time, just too much curb usage for Vandel, but he stayed well clear of it this time. Into Moss then, a little bit wider through the first apex for Vandel, but he hooks up the second and gets a lovely straight exit. That's an infinitesimal gain that might help him out coming into these last 3 corners. He's weaving to try and break the draft, getting right to the inside of the circuit here, forcing Benefield to go the long way around. Is there enough left in the tyres of the 34 to get it done here? Vandel can take the full line coming into the last few corners here. And it looks like there isn't going to be much Benefield can do unless he can fire one up the inside at the last turn here. They're side by side, making contact. It's a drag race. Vandel sent wide, and Benefield is just going to get it at the line.
Yeah, that was a very big move from Benefield. It didn't look like Seb Vandel is too happy with that move for the win on the last corner. We'll try and get a slow-mo replay if we can. Just checking it out now. It looks like Benefield got in the rear bumper of Vandel on the entry of the corner, unsettled him, got down the inside, a little bit of bumping, looks like NASCAR style from back in the day. Remember a truck series race going side by side, ending in the grass a few years ago. Reminded me of that, and 22 thousandths of a second between the top 2, less than 2/10 separating the top 3. Absolutely incredibly wild race. That was incredible.
Yeah, and Aidan Luthwaite managing to recover to 11th there after starting from the pits. Very well done there for the number 7 as the race session officially ends and we can go through our results. So finishing in first place, Daniel Benefield by 0.02 of a second from Seb Vandel. Dylan Walker only coming home a couple of tenths behind. Brownlee and Yeaman will round out the top 5. Yeaman able to get within 3 seconds of the lead by the end. He was very fast. Kyle Ridley finishing in 6th place. He'll be happy with that run from 10th. Fenson and Finney, also Solani, starting outside the top 10 and managing to get inside it. Solani starting 18th. Great run for him. But Vinnie Newen is going to be your race 2 pole sitter, finishing in 10th spot.
Yeah, mega stuff for James Solani, up 9 spots in that race. Aidan Luthwaite from the pit lane up to 11th. A fantastic drive for him. Jackson Dial in 12th. More importantly, Daniel Finney, was your M-Class winner for that race. Eric Fenson 13th. Proctor Hallowell ran out the top 15. Matthew Keane, he was in the wars all in that race. Nathaniel Coburn 17th, and unfortunately our retirements, David Turnbull and Lambert, were still on track, but 2 laps down. Brandon Groach, Dylan Gray and Sean Benici were our retirements in race number 1, unfortunately for those guys, but luckily they do have one more race and a double length race to make it up here tonight, Reese.
Indeed they do. My goodness, what a race that was. We'll get another look here at the finish of the first race here. So, Seb Vandel leading on the way in, but Benefield pulling a move that we've seen many times before, trying to get up the inside of the last corner by accelerating earlier, but he did get into the back of Vandel there, and we're hearing in the background Vandel was pretty livid with how that went down. Feels like he's been shuffled out of the way for victory there. We'll see if race control will try and uphold that, but we will see. Meanwhile, in the break between races, we've got Jackson Dial with us here. Jackson, bit of a rough start for you, being forced to start from the pits there due to impeding in qualifying, but you must be happy with sorry, my apologies, things are moving around a little bit here in my head. Regardless, pretty eventful race for you.
Yeah, didn't start from the pits, but it was.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's all right. It was a pretty crazy race. A lot of accidents going around, just trying to play dodgem carts, honestly, and then just a couple of mistakes myself. I'm struggling quite a bit coming onto that back straight, trying to get the car down to first gear. Spun twice, popping into first unexpectedly. So hopefully race 2 goes a bit better. Yeah, give it a crack.
Yeah, indeed. It's a very fast circuit, isn't it? Which suits these prototypes pretty well. You can make great use of the downforce, can't you?
Oh, certainly. I'm having an absolute ball driving them, so it's a great track.
Excellent stuff. Well, for race 2, obviously, you got a pit stop coming, and you'll be dealing with a different set of drivers just in front of you. The winners will be starting back in 8th, 9th, and 10th. So what's your plan for race 2? Just avoid the carnage?
Yeah, I might have some tricks up my sleeve. We'll see.
All right, we'll see indeed. Thanks for joining us, Jackson, and hopefully we get a chance to talk to you after the action concludes.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Jackson Dial right there. We've also got our race 1 winner in the comms box with us, Daniel Benefield. What was your perspective of that run to the final corner there, Dan? It looked a little bit risky.
I had it lined up. As soon as I got by Dylan for second, if it came to the last corner, I was always going to do that. I had that lined up 8-10 laps from the end. Obviously, if he made a mistake, like you guys have seen a couple of times, when he made a mistake, I had a look, sure, and when I had a run, I had a look, but that was ultimately the end goal at the end.
Yeah, very interesting set of final corners here, and it's a move that we expected you to try and make, but do you think you were caught out a bit by Vandel slowing down a bit earlier?
Not really. To me, it was netcode. Because if it wasn't netcode, we would have gone into the left-hand wall. Based on like what I saw. So as far as I'm aware, it's netcode. I would have been up the inside of him, whether I touched him or not, anyway, and I would have still won the race.
All right. Well, starting in 10th now for race 2, you've obviously got plenty of speed. What do you think's going to be the tyre strat here? I would assume taking only left side tyres.
No, that's way too slow. You got to take an axle in this car. With the way that the tyre changes work. It'll be interesting because the wear's pretty even, so it'll be interesting to see what the strategy's like.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting because, obviously you need a pointy car for those very fast corners around most of the lap, but then there's the traction zone coming out of Moss, which, might tempt drivers to go for rear tyres just to prepare for that. So I suppose for someone like you, Dan, who's very familiar with pointy cars, maybe fronts would be the way to go.
We'll have to wait and see in the race, won't we?
All right. Yeah, not giving away too much, keeping your cards close to your chest. Well, maybe you'll lay them on the table when we talk to you after race 2, Dan.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'm back in again.
All right. Daniel Benefield there, winner of the first race, going for the win again in race 2, trying to hold on to his championship lead, Brady. Looking forward to seeing how this second race goes, because it looks like race control might still be deliberating over the incident there between Benefield and Vandel. He does claim it's netcode. Maybe the race control will see that differently.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what race control come of it. They still finish 1 and 2, so I assume if anything it'll be a post-race, swap around for position points-wise. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But again, another reminder, viewer discount. If you want a pair of Südspeed gloves, t-shirts, whatever else they have on their store, use code SPECTATOR for 10% off and free shipping to Australia and New Zealand. I know I got my set of gloves from there recently, Reese. Unfortunately, I've only done one race with them, but I very much enjoy them. I know you really enjoy your Südspeed gloves as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The really quality gloves here, and fortunately the extra large size fits my massive hands. So I'm really happy with the Südspeed gloves. If you want a pair of your own, of course, you can go to Südspeed.com, purchase a pair. If you use the code SPECTATOR at checkout, you will get 10% off, including free shipping if you're in Australia or New Zealand. We'll be stepping aside very briefly here on SimSpeed TV, catch our breath, and get going again for 30 more minutes here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, round 5 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching SimSpeed TV, round 5 of the Südspeed Sportscar Series for 2024 Season 1 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, when we had a controversial finish to the sprint race with Daniel Benefield getting into the back of Seb Vandel at the last corner and shuffling him out of the lead that he'd held all race long. Let's see how they go from the 5th row. It'll be very interesting indeed. I'm Reese Gardner. If you're just tuning in, Brady Baldwin is alongside me in the comms box. Jay Kennedy, the one behind the scenes here, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. The warm-up session is over in between the two races here. Time ticks down, and we can go through the grid for the second race here. Starting on pole position by virtue of finishing 10th in race 1, it's Vinnie Newen. This is going to be a great chance for him to get some big points. James Solani, who won the AM class, is going to... James Solani, who finished second in the AMS class, is going to start second alongside AM winner Daniel Finney, starting in 3rd, with Henry Fenson in 4th. Kyle Ridley alongside Dan Yeaman rounds out the top 5 and 6, with Lockhart Brownlee starting in 7th spot alongside Dylan Walker for Drop Bear Motorsport. Then we have Seb Vandel and Daniel Benefield rounding out the top 10. Brady, from there on, it's where they finished in race 1.
Certainly is. And Aidan Luthway, who started from the pit lane in race 1, managed to get his way to 11th. He'll start beside his teammate Jackson Dial, Eric Fenson, Andrew Proctor, 13th and 14th. Hallowell and Keane, 15th and 16th. Nathaniel Coburn and David Turnbull will be looking for a really strong race in this one. Samuel Lambert, Brandon Groach will be 19 and 20. Dylan Gray and Sean Benucci will round out the field here, and looks like potentially Sean Benucci will not be gridding up for this race. So it looks like we'll have 21 cars on the grid for this 30-minute race, and like we touched on in our interview with Daniel Benefield, drivers have to take 2 tyres in this race. So be interesting to see how they stage that out, because we've seen how good the slipstream is on the back straight. So if you're in a pack, you'd most likely try and follow those guys you're racing. But if you're in clean air or potentially have a mistake early on, potentially going for an early stop could be the way to go. So a lot to play out in this one.
Yeah, Benefield did say that the tyre wear was pretty even front to rear, so I think if you pit earlier, then it might be a good call just to keep the car feeling consistent towards the end. Regardless, that compulsory pit stop for 2 tyres after the 3rd lap of the race, and racing for 30 minutes here in race 2. I did allude to it in the talk with Daniel Benefield. I think a lot of drivers are going to try and go for front tires in this race, because looking at the weather, it's looking pretty cool out there. 19-degree air temperature, 24 degrees Celsius track temperature. So I don't think there's much danger of the tires overheating. If you can put fronts on, that'll give you a lot better turn in through these very fast corners, which is like the worst place to get understeer.
Yeah, look, I'm not a prototype racer by any means, Reese, but at a track like this, I would definitely be wanting more front grip than rear grip, especially with turn-in. Obviously, you got a fast approach, turn 1 and 2, even turn 3, and you obviously want good turn at the Moss corner really tight and slow to try and get off that corner as well. So I think fronts will be the way to go, but I wouldn't be surprised if some guys go rears. I think it'll be a bit of a mix-up, depending on what drivers feel. If they want more rear grip, they might go for a set of rear tyres. We'll have to try and convince some guys to tell us their strategy post-race as we go rolling off now, and looks like we're going to be going green in a couple seconds, Reese.
Indeed we are, on the run up to the final corners here, turns 8, 9 and 10. Yeah, Moss Corner I think is the main sort of spanner in the works here for drivers, whether they want to go for rear tyres or not at the pit stop. They'll be wanting traction coming out of Moss Corner, set themselves up for a run down the Mario Andretti straightaway. But we'll have to think about that later, because we're about to get a race start here, and Vinnie Nguyen has gone very early, basically at the apex of the last corner. He went for it. Kyle Ridley already getting to the inside of Henry Fenson, and Fenson off the track. Same for James Solani. Bit of drama there on the race start for those two, but they blend back onto the track nicely. Nguyen is skating away at the front of the field. Daniel Finney, who has been head and shoulders above the rest of the AMS class in terms of pace over the course of this season, holding on to second spot now with Kyle Ridley giving chase. Meanwhile, the drop bear trio of Yeaman, Brownlee and Walker trying to sort themselves out here. Who is going to be the front gunner? As in Moss, we have some drama. Matt Keane is spun. We also see Jackson Dial and Eric Fenson around too. Big drama there at the start. Looks like Mark Hallowell had an earlier incident. He's lost his rear wing.
And no front end for Matthew Keane here. Unfortunately, he got tangled up in that as well. So a few cars, he might require a tow here, Matthew Keane. So potentially we might be looking at a safety car. Eric Fenson pulled up on the back straight as well. Pretty dangerous spot there for him as well. Hallowell, he's crabbing along the back straight. So a lot going on in this first lap race. Vinnie Nguyen will lead us away from Finney and Ridley up front, as Ridley has a big moment on the exit of turn number 1 as well, trying to get down the inside there of Yeaman, actually going around the outside, loses his rear end, and there's still going on.
Solani into the barrier, and his car is too damaged to continue. Is it? Well, he's gonna roll, but the front suspension of that car is destroyed. Nothing he can do from that. Yeaman, meanwhile, making his way up to second spot. That was huge for Kyle Ridley and James Solani. Daniel Finney having to give up the position there to the Drop Bear Motorsport cars running through. It's Lockhart Brownlee, who's already made his way past. Walker and Van Dell are going to make their way past too. Of course, Van Dell, second in race 1. He's going to try and get some redemption here, but Daniel Benefield is still hot in pursuit. Oh, okay. Oh, no. Finney sent into the barriers there. That is massive. Who was the other car involved in that? It was Van Dell.
That was an absolutely massive accident into the S's there between Finney and Vandell. Just really awkward contact there between the two drivers, and Vandell again is not happy whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not the first time Vandell's had contact that has taken him out of contention, and this time out of the race completely. The safety car has been called in response to this incident, so we'll get a neutralization going. Nguyen will have the Drop Bear Motorsport crew behind him, looking to make moves very quickly once we go back to green. I'm just reviewing that incident between Vandell and Finney on my end, and it's such a shame to see. Just looks like Finney, it looks to me like a bit of netcode contact from my end, unfortunately. Vandell probably could have afforded to stay a little bit wider, but yeah, regardless, we'll get a view of that incident right here and see how it all went down.
I honestly don't think there's much in that race. I think just two drivers fighting for the same bit of road, fighting hard, and just unfortunate contact, seeing two fast drivers out of this race. I really don't know what else to say about that. I think it's just very hard racing between those guys, and it'll be Pace's car, the iRacing safety car, is now coming out of the pit lane, so he will pick up the leader, which is Vinnie Nguyen, who's has to now slow down to let the pace car by, because it's a iRacing safety car, not a manual safety car that we see in a lot of other series that we broadcast here on SimSpeed. So he'll pick up the leader. Daniel Yeaman will touch on behind the scenes race that Yeaman should be one to watch out for. He's already moved up to second, Branley third, Walker into fourth, and now Benefield into fifth. Brandon Groach 20th on the grid to 7th with all that melee on the first couple laps, so he'll be one to watch out for later in the piece.
He will indeed. He does have a tiny bit of damage to his front left, though, it looks like. So have to keep an eye out for Brandon Groach's pace once we get back to green. Yeaman having a bit of a joke around in the drop bear comms. Of course, him and the team have been working together really well in this season of Südspeed Sportscar Series. I would certainly... Oh, is he using a sequential shifter?
He's wild, if he is.
Jesus Christ, yeah. He's using the sequential shifter to shift gears. These cars are paddle shift in the real world. I can't imagine what Yeaman's going through the middle of a lot of these corners, because a lot of them require shifts in the middle.
We talked to him after the race, we're going to ask him what the hell he's thinking, because I don't even use a sequential shifter in a supercar. I can't use it and try and keep it on the road. So imagine trying to drive these cars as well with a sequential shifter is just absolutely crazy. And yep, he knows. That's awesome.
Oh dear. All right. Well, we get the answer right there. Oh, he's not actually using it. Oh, for God's sake. Is he screwing with us?
He is. God damn it.
Oh, God. Okay, so what is it? Is it just a fidget thing? He's actually using the paddles. Oh, my God.
Wouldn't expect anything less from him either, as everyone has now dived into the pits to do their compulsory pit stop out of the way race. It doesn't look like anyone is staying out. Actually, Eric Fenson's going to stay out. He's not going to pit. So it looks like he is the only one. Mark Hallowell still on track as well. He hasn't come to the last corner as of yet. And we just got told Fenson was a lap down. So whether he'll get a wave around, I'm not sure. Hallowell potentially. I think he's going to be on the lead lap. Finney as well. Vindell, they're a lap down. So they've had to stay out to try and get that lap back.
Yeah, they have indeed, but remains to be seen whether or not their pits for repairs will count as service. I think they might have to pop into the pits later on in the race to just get that mandatory service done. In any case, the pit stop cycle is complete, and it looks like Yeaman has won the race out of pit lane. So has Walker, Brownlee, and Benefield. All four drop air cars have shuffled Vinnie Nguyen out of the way.
Potentially Nguyen, we talked about with Daniel Benefield taking the side tyres, left or right side tyres a little bit longer. Did potentially Vinnie Nguyen take left or right side tyres and that's why his stop was so much longer, or is he taking more fuel than the other guys? Because it was unusually a lot longer stop to go from first to fifth.
Yeah, so Finney's pit stop was 15.9 seconds. Yeaman's was 13.6, and it was the same for Brownlee as well. Walker and Benefield, meanwhile, mid 12-second pit stop times. So, yeah, it definitely goes to show that at the very least, Walker and Benefield have probably taken a little less fuel. Yeaman and Brownlee, meanwhile, going for either front or rear tyres. We're not sure which at this stage. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a bit of research as to how long a pit stop takes for both axles in a Dallara LMP2, because I would think it'd be a bit longer than 16 seconds. Maybe it's just a case of Nguyen taking a little bit more fuel in the cycle, but we'll have to wait and see.
I'm probably leaning towards that race, just taking a little bit more fuel. Potentially not sure on how much he has to take, especially with the safety car and how long the safety car will be. So looks like drivers are now potentially bunching up to go racing next time by, because the lights are out on the pace car. So we will be going racing next time by. And the guys who were in front have now been given the wave around, I believe.
Yep, there goes Fenson.
Yep, Farndell still up down, so we will see what happens. But either way, it's going to be Daniel Yeaman leading the field off the restart over Dylan Walker, Brownlee, Benefield, and Nguyen, the top five, and Turnbull 18th to 6th, Gross set 20th to 7th. So a lot of big movers in this field, as Daniel Finney, he'll get the wave by the pace car, so will Seb Varndell. So Varndell will be looking for a bit more redemption, see what he can do from the back of the field in this one.
Yeah, Varndell's giving Finney the hurry up here. Obviously can't pass under safety car conditions, but Varndell a lot quicker than Finney at this stage. So that's just further frustration for the reigning champion of the series. It's really been a tough season for Seb Varndell, and I really feel for him after this round. You know, the luck just hasn't fallen his way, and you know, I know it's not just down to luck. It's, you know, trying to make the best use of the circumstances you place yourself in. But still, you would think that Varndell, as quick as he is, would have had a much better season than what he's had.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen in race one just how much speed he had and led until the very last corner. So, unfortunately for him, the results and luck just hasn't gone his way. But we'll see what he can do. He's going to be 16th on the restart. So, certainly reckon a top 10 is achievable for him, even up to about 6th, 7th potentially. So we'll see what he can do as the pace car is now creeping towards turn 8 to the S's. Yeaman warming up his tyres, trying to get a bit more heat in them, suggesting to me that potentially he took fronts if he's warming up the front tyres for a bit more grip. We have potentially lost our production feed. Is now pulling in this time by Reese, and we will be going green flag racing off turn number 10, Wyatt's corner, with Daniel Yeaman leading us away.
Yep, nice start from Mr. Yeaman as the race begins once again. Nice lead for Yeaman. Brownlee trying to get up to speed, suffered a little bit of oversteer in turn 1. Benefield right on the back of him. It looks like Brownlee has got a lot of instability issues here coming off this restart, and Daniel almost tries up the inside of turn 3. Brownlee's going to try and hold on, but a narrower exit for Benefield is a better one there. Can he get it done at Moss? We'll have to wait and see. Brownlee just shifting his eyes to the right there to have a look at Benefield as they make contact on the way into Moss. Almost into teammate dramas there.
Yeah, wouldn't expect that between the two teammates. That might leave Benefield exposed now to Vinnie Newen in behind him for 4th and 5th spot. And David Turnbull right there as well in the Frog Leap machine. So nice little battle here from Brownlee down to Turnbull. And the top two so far have skipped away. Walker and Daniel Yeaman have cleared out nearly a second already. And Lockhart Brownlee in position number 3 as Benefield tries again down the inside on his teammate. Won't get the move done. And Turnbull's gone.
Oh, lost the rear end through the final corner. He's going to wait for an opportunity to get going again. The gap opens, but man, Vinnie Newen, he was on for a great result tonight. Unfortunately, it will come to nothing. He's going to be very heavily damaged in that number 67. Number 14, my apologies. Number 8, meanwhile, Sam Lambert. He's on for a top 10 here as off the track behind him goes Jackson Dial. Lost position to Eric and Henry Fenson there. So now the Fenson brothers trying to chase down Lambert. Keep an eye out ahead for Aidan Luthwaite and Nathaniel Coburn fighting over 7th spot right now. Lambert recently lost the position to Luthwaite, so he's got to try and find something here. Try and keep the Fensons behind him and pick up a slipstream if they do.
And more importantly, with all the drama that we've had early on this race, Nathaniel Coburn is actually our AM-class leader in this race, in 7th overall. So fantastic job to Coburn. Lambert, 2nd in class. So doing a fantastic job. Got a bit of a gap over Jackson Dial for that position in class. So Samuel Lambert, currently P9 up 10 spots. So fantastic job to him as Yeaman sets the fast up of the race at 106.7. Now 6/10's clear of his teammate as Eric Fenson in the background on my end had a massive off at turn number 1.
Yeah, he's lost some crucial time here as his brother is swarming all over Sam Lambert, and Henry Fenson will get the inside run through turn 3 and get it done on the number 8, but it'll still be side by side on the run down to Moss. Looks like Lambert just recognizing the battle was over and lifted out. He's going to try and focus on some consistent running from here on forward. Still 16 minutes remaining in this race. We're going to see here the little adventure for Eric Fenson. Just a bit too wide on the exit of turn 1. There's no grass there in the real world now, but there still is on iRacing. You have to respect track limits at this place.
Yeah, it looks like just got a bit of push through turn number 1. Unfortunately, couldn't catch it in time. Didn't lose a spot, unfortunately, but has lost a little bit of time in behind Lambert. And Henry Fenton's actually got the move done on Lambert that lap, so Lambert will now drop to position number 10 in the order. Still a fantastic job, but they're all catching Nathaniel Coburn, so it could be on for the M-Class race lead here between Coburn and Sam Lambert in the not-too-distant future. As one of the Fenton brothers is off, it's Henry Fenton for a moment.
Oh, no. Well, it was Eric last lap. Now Henry has a trip through the grass. Very fortunate to not get into the wall there. He was immediately on the brakes and thus suffers no body damage from that incident. Let's have another look at it here. Up behind Nathaniel Coburn, trying to turn in for the second corner, but he just took too much out of the inside. Very, very bumpy on the interior of the corner there. So that explains that. But both the Fenton brothers still up to speed. Now Henry is behind Daniel Finney, who has fallen down the order quite a ways after starting in third. Meanwhile, Coburn has to deal with Sam Lambert, who's still managed to keep Eric Fenton behind him. This is the battle for the AM-Class lead on your screen right now. But we do have a Pro-Class car looking to throw a spanner in the works.
And not too far behind either is the 200 machine of Jackson Dial. He's absolutely ripping at the moment. That last one by, he was half a second quicker than Sam Lambert and a second quicker than Nathaniel Coburn. So don't discount Jackson Dial for the AM-Class victory here in this race, 11th overall. And Sebastian Vandel, he isn't too far away either. Currently position number 12 at the moment. We said he was probably on for a top 10. I reckon he's going to get to at least, I think, position number 8 when Nathaniel Coburn is by the time this race is done with just under 14 minutes remaining.
Yeah, this is fantastic here. We've only just passed the halfway point of the race, and we've still got plenty to go. So much close racing happening in this field. Of course, it is a 2 four-way fights, really. It's this one we're looking at now, and then the top 4, who are, of course, all Drop Bear Motorsport machines, so they're not going to race each other too hard. They want to get the best result for the team, and oh, look at that. That's a good exit for Lambert, a poor exit for Coburn, and he's right on the back of him coming into turn 1, loses a bit of speed through the corner. This is the rear view from Coburn, looking back at Samuel Lambert, absolutely nailing the first apex of turn 2 there, going a bit wide on the exit. This is where Fenton seems to be catching up to him the most, is this initial section of the track.
Yeah, and Fenton's probably going to keep in his mind too. He's not really racing with these guys ahead in Lambert and Coburn, so he'll be hoping to try and clear him as quick as he can and potentially try and catch Aidan Luthwaite late in the piece, but he can't quite get the pace to get by him, and he might be under pressure from Jackson Dial in the next lap or so. And Seb Vandel is over half a second quicker than all these guys out in front, so expect Vandel in the number 1 machine to probably be on the back of this train in about a lap or so. He's absolutely flying at the moment, and Coburn looks like he's stretching probably a 1 or 2 car length gap now over Samuel Lambert as Fenton goes off the track.
Oh, that's a big hit. And the right side of the car will be completely destroyed. Fortunately, it's happened right before pit lane entry, so he can waste no time getting in to get that car repaired. That's a real shame, though. He was right in it for that fight, and there'll be some big points lost as Coburn is wide in turn 2, and Lambert will sweep through to the AM-Class lead. Jackson Dial will take advantage as well and move up into P2.
Yeah, just taking the most of the opportunities there, Lambert. Unfortunately, a little mistake there from Coburn invites Lambert and Dial through to 1 and 2 in class, and we've seen how fast Jackson Dial has been in the last couple laps, so Samuel Lambert will be under a lot of pressure in the remaining 11.5 minutes remaining. That's the replay of Fenton on the bottom of the screen. Unfortunately, just had a big lose through the S's. Unfortunately, he'll be right down the back of the field. And here comes Seb Vandel as well. He'll look down the inside potentially of Coburn into the S's. Can't quite get it done there. He's got so much pace to burn Vandel. He won't want to get held up too long. While Coburn has nearly contact again. He'll get the move done at the last corner. And Vandel now will move into the top 10 with still 11 minutes remaining in this race. So a long way to go.
Yeah, Vandel, though, is 15 seconds behind the leaders. I don't think he's going to be able to make up that time in the time remaining here, but could gain a couple of freebies if Lambert and Dial come together here for the AM class lead. Those are the two cars right ahead of him there. They're racing closely. Dial getting a good run out of turn 3, and is he going to send it? No, he's not. Protecting the inside of the run to Moss is Samuel Lambert. This is some fantastic driving from all of these guys involved. You do have to feel for Lambert for his poor result in race 1, and same for Vandel as well. It's been a great fight back for the reigning champion, but I just keep thinking what might have been if he'd held on.
Yeah, certainly Vandel, his night could have been a lot different if he did get that victory in race 1. He's been probably seeing red mist ever since, and definitely wants to try and get the move done quickly. Dylan Walker in P2 sets the fast lap of the race as well, so he's still setting really good times. Unfortunately, still 8/10 behind his teammate Daniel Yeaman for the race lead, but still such a great battle here for 1 and 2 in the M class between Lambert and Jackson Dial. To be honest, I thought Dial would have got the move done, but Lambert is holding strong. He's done a very nice job, and certainly probably one of the drives of the season for the number 8 machine.
Yeah, I think Dial might be rattled a little bit by the presence of Seb Vandel here. He knows that there's an angry, recovering pro-class driver behind him, and so that's a little bit extra mental load to deal with that in your mirrors. Not the best of exits there. It looks like Vandel's going to move out and try and get this done, but not quite enough pace to get it done on corner exit. Going to have to sit in the slipstream for a little bit, and then on the outside coming into the third last corner, well, that's how Vandel crashed initially. He'll have to give a little bit more space here this time, but they do make contact, almost gets sent, but Vandel's going to try and push him through here inside for the final corner, and the over-under for the reigning champion. Vandel will finally get through on Jackson Dial and into 9th place. His next target will be Sam Lambert, who will be thanking his lucky stars that Dial got involved with Vandel.
Yeah, I think Lambert will be happy that Dial and Vandel battled so hard for that position, because that now gives a little bit of breathing room to Lambert in the number 8 machine, and fantastic switchback as well from Vandel at the last corner. That was absolutely awesome to watch. And now the battle between the Frog Leap teammates for position number 5. There hasn't been too much happening at the front of the field. 7, 8, 10 separating the top 4 for each position. But now Groach has approached the back of David Turnbull, and a good little fight potentially going to happen the last 8 minutes of this race between the two teammates. Both of them coming from deep in the field. 18th for Turnbull, 20th for Groach. So up big positions in this race for these two drivers.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. It's a fantastic run up through the field for both of these drivers. Let's see if the Groach approach will continue on the way into the last 8 minutes of this race. 2 battles on screen, the battle for 5th and the battle for 8th. Lambert a bit wide on the exit of the final corner. This could give the opportunity to Vandel, but he's going to stay behind into turn 1. Seems like Dial took advantage of the slipstream too, and is right back in the fight again.
Yeah, Jackson Dial still staying right there with Vandel and Lambert. So Lambert will be trying to hold off Seb Vandel as long as he can to have that one car between it. But here comes Seb Vandel. He's going to try around the outside through turn 4, which will have the inside for 5. A little bit of contact. That will compromise Lambert. Now side by side for the race lead for the M-Class drivers, Lambert and Dial. Unfortunately, that little move from Vandel checked up Lambert. And now Jackson Dial will go to the race lead for the M-Class. And now Lambert will be probably a little bit upset with that. He's going to try and get the head down now. He's still got just under 7 minutes remaining to try and get that lead back.
Yeah, indeed. But he's managed to get the slipstream. He stays within range of Dial as it's side by side for 3rd. Benefield versus Brownlee as Yeaman and Walker are walking away from the 3rd place battle. Got it done nicely in the end, did Benefield. Let's see if he can drag Brownlee up to the top 2. Turnbull and Groach still fighting hard. Aidan Luthwaite on his own on track at the moment. No one to battle with. Vandel chasing and rapidly making up time. Meanwhile, seems like no change for the AM-Class lead for the time being, but the little bit of back and forth has allowed Nathaniel Coburn to gain some of that time back.
Yeah, there's not much between these drivers for first in class. Probably been the battle of the race so far between Dial, Lambert, and Coburn. Not much separating these guys, and fantastic to see some different guys battling for important positions in this race. And Lambert, like I touched on earlier, probably one of his best drives of the season. Unfortunately, I've only been here for a couple of rounds of this series, but certainly caught my eye tonight, Samuel Lambert. A fantastic drive no matter where he finishes here. He should be proud of his efforts.
Certainly should. We've had chats to Samuel Lambert at points before in the season. Great guy to talk to, and certainly hope that he can hold on for a good result here. Meanwhile, Dan Yeaman dispatching a lapped car. It looks like that is Vinnie Nguyen. It is. So with the leaders again is Nguyen, but in much different circumstances to what he would have hoped. Yeaman just focusing eyes forward at the moment. Walker hasn't really made an impression on him since really the restart. Yeaman's just been eyes forward this whole time and still showing great pace. He was the fastest car on track last time by. Meanwhile, Turnbull versus Groach. Here comes Brandon in the slipstream. Can he get this done? How much respect will the Frog Leap Juice Racing teammates give each other?
Oh, they're teammates, but they race as hard, so they're going to race as hard as they can without trying to make contact. And a nice little battle here for the last spot in the top 5. Just checking back in again on Dolan Lambert. There's not much still between, and Lambert staying right with him, and he'll have a little bit of slipstream assistance, but laps are running out. There's a little mistake there from Jackson Dolan in the final corner. That's going to allow Samuel Lambert to close even more into the back of Jackson Dolan. We're probably thinking 3 to 4 laps remaining in this race, so time is slowly running out for the number 8 driver to try and get the move done for the race win here in AM class.
Yes, indeed. Just get the exit of Moss right is the main point around this circuit. You know, every corner here is difficult, but I think they all pale into in comparison to applying the power properly out of this sequence. Got to swing wide, bring it back in, straighten up the car as early as you can, and it looks like both Dial and Lambert were able to do that. They haven't had any impressions made on them from Coburn, as it looks like David Turnbull still rapidly defending here from Brandon Groach, but the man who fought for the championship last season is right on the back of the 702. Better exit from the final corner, but it seems like he just can't take advantage.
What we said earlier in the piece race, that it would be a bit of a difficult track to pass. It's sort of playing out that way in their second race. There's a big slide there for David Turnbull. Fantastic car control. We haven't seen too much passing since that restart. It's sort of been pretty plateau in the top 6 positions, at least, and even Aidan Luthwaite in 7th. We've seen, obviously, Varndell coming through the field, but we probably expected that from car number 1, but still some fantastic battling between Dial and Lambert and Coburn, as Daniel Benefield is caught into race control, potentially maybe for blue flag infringements for Vinnie Nguyen, potentially.
Yeah, well, this is Turnbull. He ran a bit wide and coming out of Moss corner, and so the positions have changed. We missed that live. Benefield, meanwhile, he did have some problems getting past Vinnie Nguyen there. That has stymied his run, and the same it looks like is going to go for Lockhart Brownlee, who had to compromise himself a little bit. Benefield flashing the lights here, almost got into the back of Nguyen, but was able to get alongside, and Nguyen yielded the position from there.
It was probably a minimal time loss, I think, there for Benefield. It's still a fair way away, nearly 2 seconds away from the back of Dylan Walker, so it would have been tough for him to make up that ground anyway, but still on. Only 7-10 separate these two guys. We've been talking about them all race long. Dial and Lambert for the M-Class win. Nathaniel Coburn struggling just a little bit late in the piece. He's just dropped off the back a little bit of Samuel Lambert, so one little mistake here from Jackson Dial could spell disaster and bring Lambert right back into this race. Daniel Yeaman, the race leader, he's going to be crossing the start-finish line. Will he get the white flag? No. We'll have 2 laps remaining in this race, so more opportunities here for Lambert to try and sneak that class win here tonight.
Yep, all depends on a mistake from Jackson Dial, because his late race pace has looked great. He's just continued to build that gap, driving consistently. I think that's Lambert's big weakness in this fight. Despite the mistakes that Dial's been making, Lambert has just had those tiny little issues on corner exit that have roughed up his average pace. Regardless, it's still on. Dial still has to drive to 100% of his ability to keep Lambert from getting any closer.
Yeah, 100%. He's got to hit his marks every single lap, which isn't the easiest thing to do at a track like this. It's so demanding. Even in these type of cars that have so much downforce, they're very, very hard to get it right every single time. And Jackson Dial's doing a fantastic job of that at the moment. Not mistakes that we can see anyway. And he's slowly just pulling away a little bit from Samuel Lambert as race leader Daniel Yeaman will get the white flag to start lap number 24 and the final lap here tonight at Mosport race.
Yeah, let's see how close the battles are coming out of the last corner here. That's Aiden Luthwaite there who just passed the line. There's Seb Vandel, then Jackson Dial, and no Sam Lambert. Where's Sam Lambert? There he is. Okay, cool. I was a car ahead of myself there. A couple of lapped cars in the midst of the top 10 right now. But last lap is already halfway done for our race leader. Such a short lap around here. 1 minute and 6 seconds is really the average lap time around here in the race. You can potentially get into the high 105s if you push hard enough, but that's all numbers in the end. What really counts is where you finish. And Dan Yeaman, after showing great potential in race 1, had his run balked by damaged cars in the train, but he's going to get redemption here and take the checkered flag as the winner of race 2 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Walker will finish second and Benefield will complete the podium. Looks like Benefield might only just hold on to the championship lead from that, but Jackson Dial driving beautifully in the last few laps. Turnbull going into the pits on the final lap there, but we can greet Jackson Dial at the flag as the AM Class winner in race 2. Just a fantastic job there and a great battle with Sam Lambert.
Yeah, fantastic job from Dial and Lambert. Fantastic race between them. I'm interested to know what actually happened to David Turnbull entering the pits, because he actually lost a spot on that last lap, and he was actually a fair way behind his teammate as well, Brandon Groach. So potentially ran out of fuel or got a black flag penalty for incidents, which he didn't. I'm just seeing he only had 3 incidents. So very strange there for David Turnbull to pull in the pits after that. But fantastic job for Drop Bear Motorsport, a top 4 lockout in the race, in race number 2 anyway, and Daniel Yeaman winning by 1.9 seconds over his teammate Dylan Walker. Daniel Benefield rounding out the top 3. Lockhart Branley in position number 4. Unfortunately lost a little bit of pace there at the end. Brandon Groach finishing in 5th. Aiden Luthwaite, David Turnbull, Seb Vandel. Good recovery drive there, back to 8th. And Jackson Dial 9th overall, and we'll take out the AM Class victory for race number 2 here tonight. And Samuel Lambert ran out the top 10 overall, and a fantastic drive to finish second in class race.
Yep, battled so hard with Dial all race, and for that he gets our Driver of the Day award, $30 Südspeed voucher heading his way. Fenson, meanwhile, Henry is going to finish in 11th ahead of Nathaniel Coburn and Daniel Finney, last car finishing on the lead lap. Vinnie Newen started on pole, but unfortunately coming together, I believe, with Seb Vandel, just put him way down the order. Hallowell finishes a lap down, was heavily damaged early on. Eric Fenson, Dylan Gray, Carl Ridley, Andrew Proctor, all out on the same lap of the race, with James Solani down in 20th place. Last finisher was Matt Keane, unfortunately a long way down. Looks like he was out on the first lap here, and Sean Bonici did not take to the start. Very difficult stuff for many of the drivers in the field. All right, well, I suppose we should go to Samuel Lambert first, Brady. Let's have a chat to Sam as he made his way to second on the road in the AM class. And congratulations, Samuel, for your efforts in race 2. We're giving you the Driver of the Day award. You get a $30 Südspeed voucher.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, guys. It was a tough race. As you can probably see in the camera, I'm a little bit sweaty at the moment. But no, thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. I was just actually chatting to Jackson before. It was a really good race. I just couldn't keep up with him. Once I lost the toe, that was kind of it. I was kind of hoping he'd make a mistake, but no. And thanks, guys. It was nice to come back after a bit of an average race 1 to come back and do that. It's good. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you started 16th, fell down to 19th, and then made your way up to 10th. Just take us through that second race, because it seemed like you were right in the middle of all the action for some time.
Yeah, well, so at the start, I sort of dropped back a bit. There was a couple of pro guys behind me who I know are faster. So my plan was like, well, I'm not going to lose any time by letting them by because it's first lap and the field's going to back up a bit. So I let them by and just sort of took it easy, and then somehow managed to stay out of the carnage. And then the safety car happened, and I took my pit like everyone else. And then sort of from there on, I was realizing, all right, well, at that point, Coburn was in front of me, and I was like, all right, well, he's P1, so I know like him and I usually have some good racing, and I actually felt like I had a bit of pace today, so I thought, okay, maybe I can do this. It looks like he got a bit unlucky, then I was ahead for a bit, and then then I had Seb Vandel and Jackson behind me, and I thought what I should have done is I should have just let Seb by and retained a little bit of pace, but I thought, no, I'm going to defend. So, but no, it was, I'm very happy with the result today.
As you should be, mate. Next round is Laguna Seca. Obviously a very different track to Mosport, but they do share one thing, and that's extreme elevation change. Are you anticipating it's going to be difficult in the LMP2?
Laguna's always kind of been like a donkey track for me. I've never really done well on any sim there. So I think it's just going to be survive and hope to get through. But because Mosport's actually one of my favorite tracks and one of the tracks I've raced the most, so it worked for me. But yeah, no, I am. I think I just going to try and practice a lot, so make sure I can try and get some sort of result again for the next race.
All right. Big thanks for joining us, Samuel. Congratulations once again on the Driver of the Day award. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, just big thanks to Südspeed for putting this on. It's a big thanks for Richard as well. Every fortnight he's out here, dealing with a bit of carnage in the races and keeping a very level head. And so just big thanks to them for putting on the event for us.
Sam Lambert there, second place in AM today and Driver of the Day. Brady, you're stood by with our AM class winner, by the way, Jackson Dial in the Whiskey Business 200.
Jackson, congratulations on the AM class win. Never a bad thing having 2 interviews in one night. Talk to us about that battle with you and Sam Lambert and even Nathaniel Coburn in that race. It was fantastic to watch.
Oh, mate, we were both chatting to each other after the race, just dripping in sweat. It was some awesome fun. Honestly, 2 very closely matched drivers and clean racing as well, which is what you always want. So, yeah, I had great fun, and I think he did as well.
What was the biggest challenge about their circuit tonight? Obviously, it's not a very much used circuit, which is a big shame because we love it here at SimSpeed, but what was the biggest challenge for you in that Dallara here tonight at Mosport?
Probably my biggest challenge was buying the track 2 hours ago. As you said, it's not a super popular track, and I hadn't had a lot of practice this week on the sim, let alone for the LMPs, so I was running a bit tight there. My major issue was actually, especially in that last race, was slower cars holding me up in corners that I was much quicker in. It caused a lot of near misses, and then I'd lose positions to the car behind me who didn't get checked up and would just fly past me on the next straight. So yeah, it was definitely, that was the struggle for me tonight, as well as those 2 right-handers before the back straight. They were very sketchy in traffic, to say the least.
Well, we're going to even probably more difficult circuit in 2 weeks' time for the next round, Laguna Seca. So do you have any thoughts and feelings heading into that one?
Oh, I've driven that one plenty on Gran Turismo, so we might be a bit stronger going into that week. Looking forward to it.
Before we let you go, Jackson, anyone you'd like to thank for your result here tonight?
As always, my teammate Aiden Loothwaite, the legend.
Thank you, Jackson. Congratulations once again. Hopefully we can talk to you next time.
Cheers, fellas.
That is Jackson Doll, M-Class winner. And I believe, Reese, you have grabbed our friend here at SimSpeed, Daniel Yeaman, our Pro Class winner here tonight.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, Dan. It was a great result for you. All up, you take the round here with a 5th and a 1st. Certainly a big job for you here at Mosport. You looked very quick in race 1, but it seemed like you were held back a bit by the damaged Matt King.
A little bit, I guess. Hard to say. I guess I haven't really looked at it in detail, but from the driver's seat, just car tonight was absolutely incredible through all the high-speed turns here. At Mosport, and it just felt like Matt didn't have anywhere near the speed. I mean, I have seen that back then when I had a go at David on lap 1 into Moss corner, that he got up underneath me, basically a Stroll Ricardo-esque, minus the safety car, thankfully. So it's quite possible he had front end damage, but it just, in the moment it felt like he just had no downforce. So I was I was getting a little desperate. Also wanted to catch up to Dan, Dylan, and Lockie and Lockhart, and have a crack at trying to be with them. Unfortunately, that didn't work out in that case. So yeah, it was that was the only thing there in race 1. I guess it was the only sour note of the night from the driver's seat, at least.
Yeah, indeed. And, well, I suppose with maximum points from this round, and Benefield once again finishing behind you in the second race, he does have a win on the books here, but championship lead will undoubtedly close coming into the penultimate round of the championship.
I mean, yeah, actually, to be honest, I was surprised to see that, even though I'm aware that I get more points, relatively speaking, for winning this feature race tonight. I didn't actually think I'd come out on top, being 5th in the opening sprint. Thought that might have been enough, given that Dan won that opening sprint race, that I'd end up in 2nd or 3rd for the round tonight. But I guess, hey, ended up that worked out pretty well for me. Of course, in the current situation, I'm being coached basically to not figure out the championship. Yes, we've got 2 rounds to go, but just take every race as they come, and we put our best foot forward each time, hopefully, and make the most of it.
Absolutely. Good stuff, Dan. Big thanks for joining us. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you go and celebrate?
100% to all the boys over at Drop M Motorsport. Big thanks to all of them for being part of the team. Special thanks, of course, to Dylan Lockhart and Dan for being here with us tonight racing as well. Also just want to take a moment to say Dan let us know today, unfortunately, that it will be his final time with us this evening for the team. So he's off to pastures elsewhere. So all the best to him with whatever that ends up being. But to the team partners in Coastie Engineering Solutions, Bowler Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear, big thanks to all of them for continuing to support us in their little bits and ways that they make do. And yeah, look forward to watching it all back. Thanks to you guys, and of course to Richard and Chris, the Südspeed team, for helping making this series possible, of course.
Dan Yeaman joining us there, round winner here in the 5th round of the Südspeed Sportscar Series here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Brady, we go to Laguna Seca next week. As a driver, it's not my favourite track, but as a spectator, there's no better.
Yeah, if you wanted my personal opinion, I do not like the track whatsoever, but I'd love to visit there in real life because it is really cool. So it's going to present another challenge for these drivers. I could not imagine how the corkscrew would be in these type of cars. So again, another challenge presented to these drivers, and certainly going to put them to the test for round number 6 in 2 weeks' time.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, wherever you are in the world, for tuning in here on SimSpeed TV on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. Big thanks to Rich and Chris, the Südspeed team, for setting this series up and providing some fantastic sim racing gloves to the Australian and New Zealand sim racing community. Remember, use code SPECTATOR at checkout on Südspeed.com for a 10% discount. I'm Reese Gardner, Brady Baldwin with me in the comms box, Jay Kennedy producing. We're SimSpeed TV, and we say goodbye for now. See you in 2 weeks at Laguna Seca.